working for some time, and truthfully, I wouldn't mind it, but the sword is this life. I'm insubordinate it because I'm just ignoring the hype. There's a war going on, and I was born in a fight. I got my right hand man, he about to come through swinging. Don't catch him at the wrong time, he finally been thinking. Shit, I finally been thinking about my life and all my choices. These rappers have a platform, but they do not use the voices. I'm not a big rapper, cause I'm fine. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Balls and Bars podcast. My name is David McKeever, my co-host Austin Tackett. We welcome you in this evening. This is episode 2. We're going to be talking about our top 5 songs of 2019, and this is our favorite songs. This isn't necessarily what we think is the best song. Not the most well-written or the most well-composed, just our favorite songs of 2019. And then our big topic for the show is going to be the NBA offseason. Draft, not as much draft, at least I'm not hitting on the draft much, Austin might, but trades and free agency really, and just kind of how the landscape of the NBA has changed this summer. First of all, I just want to introduce Austin. How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. And then I wanted to give a thanks to anybody who checked out episode 1. Let me pull it up real quick. Last time I checked, we were at about 105 listens, or, views. So that's pretty good for the first episode.
About that too.
So I'm going to pull it up real quick, get a live to date, and see where we're at. But, I'm thrilled with that. Yeah, it says right now we're at 107, so I appreciate anybody who gave it a listen. It was a little long. We're going to try to keep this one a little closer to an hour. And we're also in the process of working on getting it put on SoundCloud and on Apple Podcasts. I submitted the first one, our first episode, to Apple Podcasts. It's kind of like they have to review it and everything. And then once they review that first one, then it's a pretty easy process. So hopefully we'll get a little more mobile friendly. But for now, we're just on YouTube. You can find us at Balls and Bars Podcast on YouTube, on Facebook at Balls and Bars Podcast, and on Twitter at Balls and Bars Pod to stay up to date. Like I said, today we're going to go over our top 5 favorite songs of 2019 as well.
That's any genre.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Any genre, right?
Yeah, any genre. Our last podcast we hit on, if you didn't give it a listen, you can go back and find it on YouTube. We hit on our top 10 all-time NBA players and our top 10 all-time rappers. So rap is definitely both of our favorite genre of music, but our taste definitely is not exclusive to rap music. So I imagine both of our lists will have a few rap songs on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if it had some other as well. So we're going to get into our top 5 songs first this time. Because the NBA offseason is definitely going to be the more expansive topic. So, Austin, you want to give your number 5?
Yeah, so number 5, I have Down Bad by J. Cole, J.I.D., and Baz, or B-A-S. I don't know. It's all caps, so I don't know if it goes by, like, the letters or if he says it. I haven't heard anybody say his name, like, on a video or, like,
Sure.
on a review or anything. But it's off of the new J. Cole album, I guess. I don't know if it's a J. Cole album. It's a collaboration, The Dreamville, Revenge of the Dreamers 3. It's one of the tracks on there, and it's really good. Like, I am a fan of J. Cole, but I've made it known to anybody that's close to me that I'm more of a fan of Kendrick Lamar. I think he's the better rapper this generation, or this era, I guess you would call it. But J. Cole just went crazy on this song and this album, really. So that's number 5 of the year for me.
Sure. I'm going to be real honest. I actually haven't given that album a listen yet. I've just been real busy. It's definitely on my list of things I need to get to. So I actually haven't heard that song, but I'll definitely check it out. I think I'm going to try to listen to that tomorrow. I'm taking a couple deliveries for my wife's work, so I'll be in the car a little bit. I think I'm going to give that album a listen tomorrow. All right. So, this year's been a rough one. The different things going on. But you know what? One thing that's constant?
What's that?
Beer Ain't Never Broke My Heart. My number 5 song is Beer Never Broke My Heart by Luke Combs. It's a truth. Long neck beer
Long neck, ice cold beer never broke my heart. That song is so catchy. It is the definition of a toe tapper. It's hit number 22 on the Billboard Hot 100 list, so that's pretty decent. I was up in Gladwin, your hometown, for about 2 weeks. That song's everywhere up there.
You got poisoned in 2 weeks.
It's a good song. So that's number 5 on my list. Beer Never Broke My Heart, Luke Combs.
You were poisoned.
Austin's not a big fan of country music, if you can't tell. So what do you got at number 4?
So for me, number 4 is a rather new song. I don't know if you listened to this album or not. The new Nas album came out last night. It's called Wow Freestyle. It's not how you define a freestyle. It's, at least I think, it's clearly written. But it's on his new album, track number 3, I believe. And it's like listening to Illmatic again, which is kind of crazy because Nas is so much older. Just a really good song. Great album, I think. People might sleep on it just because it's new Nas. But if you haven't listened to that album, especially that song, you're really missing out.
Yeah, I got to check that one out too. We talked about this last week as far as what do we define as a freestyle. For me, if it's on an album, I don't mind them calling, a written a freestyle if it has that vibe, right? If it doesn't have, I don't know what the song's like, but if it doesn't have, a hook or, a structure, if it's just spitting, then I definitely feel it. My opinion on freestyle when it's like, say on like Sway in the Morning or Breakfast Club or something like that, those type of freestyles I think should be off the dome. But if it's on an album and it's, it's just bars and it's not a structured song, then I think that could definitely qualify. So I haven't heard the song yet, but
and honestly, you can't go wrong with Nas. So
no, Nas is great. So number 4 on my list is ISIS by Joyner Lucas and Logic.
Another great song.
This song was the sign of a squash beef stemming between the two artists from when they were both featured on Tech Nine's Sriracha. They started having issues. Logic, I believe the story was Logic took too long to submit his verse, and Joyner felt he was waiting to hear Joyner's verse so then he could kind of outdo him. And so they kind of just, I think it was more of a competitive beef than anything. And you can tell they still have that competitive vibe going on the song. They're definitely trying to outdo each other, but it's just to the benefit of us listeners. Because it's fire. The beat is fantastic. If it doesn't, I don't care if you don't like rap music. If you hear that beat, it's going to get you going. There's no way you can just sit there and, not feel something from the beat. It has. Go ahead.
Who do you think wins in a rap battle between those two?
My personal taste, I like Joyner more, but I think Logic might be the more talented rapper.
Yeah, I think he's been growing on you a little bit, hasn't he?
He has been. I'll hit on that a little later. But my biggest complaint, which I'll get to later with Logic, is I think that a lot of his early stuff sounds really similar. But I think he's been getting a little better with that. But this song only hit number 59 on the Hot 100. It wasn't quite as big of a hit. But I think in the rap community, it had more of an impact. So yeah, ISIS by Joyner Lucas and Logic is my number 4 song. What do you got at 3?
At 3, I have another J. Cole song, which is kind of crazy for me because, like I said, I've been very critical of him because people are talking, he's like the next Biggie and this and that, which to me, he's not even the best of his generation, is Oh Wow, Swerve. Which is also off of that new Revenge of the Dreamers 3. And this song is, let me pull it up on my phone real quick. For every other song, I wrote down any features. This one, I only wrote down J. Cole. So I can't remember if it's only him. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's only him. And another time, it's just, J. Cole just straight spitting bars over the whole thing. Which, there's nothing wrong with J. Cole. Just, I don't like when people say that he's better than Kendrick or he's like the new Biggie or something like that. He's not hasn't reached that level for me yet.
I think why people like J. Cole more, like I personally like J. Cole more than Kendrick, even though I had Kendrick on my top 10 list and not J. Cole, is I think people resonate with his lyrics more. He's more of a storyteller on a consistent basis, where Kendrick can definitely tell the stories as well, but he has a lot of, radio songs or club songs too, where J. Cole is more of a constant MC storyteller. So I think that's why some people like J. Cole a little more. But
yeah, I mean I get that, but also like Kendrick, some of the songs, like the whole To Pimp a Butterfly album, like with the storytelling in that, with Tupac talking in the background, is just nuts.
Yeah. All right, so number 3, I have another Logic song. I have Homicide with Logic and Eminem.
Fire.
So I hit on this a little bit what we were just talking about. I said 2019 has been a great year for Logic. To me, Logic reminds me a lot of Drake. Not in the ability to rap, because I think he's actually a far superior rapper. But in terms of any song that's just a Logic song, I don't really feel that much. But anytime he's on a song with another rapper, a top-notch rapper, it brings out the best in him. I've said for years that Drake is one of the best feature rappers of all time, because when Drake's on a song with Lil Wayne, or Drake's on a song with Kanye and Lil Wayne and Eminem, or Drake's always bringing the heat. When Drake's by himself, it's hit or miss. That's kind of how I feel with Logic. In this song, he goes bar for bar with him.
Which is crazy.
I can name on probably one hand rappers who can go bar for bar with Eminem. It hit number 5 on the Billboard Top 100s. Having him on the song definitely will do that for you. Get you a little more credit or a little more popularity. But the beat's fantastic. The music video is hilarious. I don't know if you've seen the music video.
Yeah, I have. It's way different than kind of what I expected of it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that you're obviously aiming for like a comedic standpoint.
To go back to ISIS real quick. My brother-in-law Bill had a really good idea for that song. Have you seen the music video for ISIS?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know how Logic is like under the hood or under the mask? Bill said what they should have done is not released a music video and then brought out a alternative version and had Eminem on it, and then have Eminem be the guy under the hood. Spitting like a third.
That would have been good.
That would have been insane. All right, so what do you got at 2?
At number 2 for the song this year, I have got Higher. It's by DJ Khaled. It's on DJ Khaled's album, but he doesn't like do anything other than just get the people there.
We the best.
Yeah, but I don't know how he's technically the artist in the song. Like they say it's his song, but it's just his album. But it has Nipsey Hussle on it. He's the one that actually raps, and then John Legend sings over it.
Yeah, I've heard that song. It's a good song.
John Legend, I've been sleeping on him a lot.
He's the man.
He can sing so well. And then that song, it is sad to say, it really benefited by Nipsey Hussle getting killed.
Oh,
because it's that kind of song where it's like a kind of a feel good song, but also like a heavenly tune or something like that, just with John Legend singing. And then the music video, they're all in like fancy clothes, kind of. They're standing around the car playing piano. It's all white. So it's sad to say, that he had to die for the song to like make more sense, but definitely benefited from that. And it's really just a good song to listen to, I think.
Yeah, I heard the song and then I watched the performance on the BET Awards. That was pretty. Yeah. Speaking of John Legend, it's not a 2019 song, but what is it called? Glory, I think, with John Legend and Common.
Mm-hmm.
Selma, the movie Selma. That's such a good song. It's probably one of my favorite songs.
I slept on John Legend a lot. I didn't realize he was like that fantastic of a singer, not just a songwriter or whatever, just like an actual singer.
Yeah, John Legend's the man. All right, number 2. I'm gonna ride on my tractor a little bit, and I'm gonna go down the Old Town Road remix.
Which one?
Billy Ray Cyrus, the original. I like the new remix with my boy the Yodeler, but the original.
Young Thug ruins it.
Yeah, Young Thug sucks. So this song is, I think, by far the biggest hit of 2019 so far.
Easily.
If people say they don't like it or it's annoying, I think they're lying. I think when they're by themselves and that song comes on,
It's a banger.
they're singing along. I don't care
It's a
what
banger.
they say. It's one of the catchiest songs I've ever heard, and Billy Ray Cyrus is the GOAT of all music. The amount of swag that man has is just pure.
You want to know what's crazy? That song, the Billy Ray Cyrus only one, has been the #1 song on the charts for it's 15 straight weeks heading into this week.
Yeah.
The all-time record's 16, which is like Despacito and some Mariah Carey song.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. Yeah, it's good. I don't care what anybody says. It's good.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Catchy. Billy Ray Cyrus is absolute fire. The music is pretty good. I just remember the first time I heard it, and then I heard Billy Ray start spitting. I lost my mind. It was so good. All right, what do you got? What do you got?
A little bit on Old Town Road, real quick.
Yeah.
Do you think that Lil Nas X came out as gay to promote the song more than just to say it?
I don't think so, because it was already so successful.
That's true.
It would be one thing if it was still successful, I should say. It would be one thing if it was successful and then he kind of went away and nobody gave a crap about him and it came out as gay. But like you said, he's been on Billboard Hot 100 #1 for 15 weeks now, and
it's so crazy.
I think the night that he came out, wasn't that the night of the BET Awards?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, where he was the biggest thing there. So yeah, I don't think
it's
so.
So crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. Have you heard Panini?
Yeah, well, I listened to the whole album when it came out.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Album's not that good, but Old Town is the best. All right, what you got at #1?
#1 is just personal bias of mine, really. It's known by anybody that knows me, really. Huge Mac Miller fan. And a post-mortem, I think is what they call it, song came out since he's died. It was with a guy named 88 Keys.
Okay.
And then I think their group is called The Nationalists or something like that. And it's called That's Life. Just a feel-good tune to listen to.
Sure.
Music's very good. It sounds like it's live instruments. I haven't been able to find if it is or if it isn't. I've looked up videos and people reviewing the song. I can't find out if it's actual instruments or if they, just recorded it in there somehow. But just another really good feel-good song, and it's kind of bias of mine because I'm such a big fan of Mac Miller, obviously.
Sure. And #1, the song, the only way to really describe it is a country rock anthem.
God.
The music is just a masterpiece, and then there's some hard-hitting, heartfelt lyrics laid over the top. When you really just want to enjoy life, go outside with your fishing pole. I put my beats on and I listen to God's Country by Blake Shelton. And, that's my happy spot right now.
That well water's really got into your brain, huh?
It's a great song. Hard-hitting guitar riffs, nice drums on it, twangy voice. It's good stuff. It's hit number 17 on the Billboard Top 100. It's just a really, I think it's a good song. If you haven't heard it yet, you should give it a listen. It's not your typical real whiny country. It's got a nice hard rock to it. It's good stuff. All right, you got any honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions were really just going to be ISIS and Homicide that you already said.
Okay. You know what I find, before I get into my honorable mentions, I kind of like this podcast because of the songs that you mentioned, your top 5, I've only heard one of them. So that kind of shows the variety that we can bring. I came with a little more, known songs, where Austin's hitting you with a little, not that his aren't known, the Nas album and the J. Cole album. I'm sure a lot of you have heard. I just haven't gotten a chance to listen to it yet. But
yeah. Well, the Nas album's brand new. That came out on Friday.
Yeah. All right, so my honorable mentions, I got Devil's Work by Joyner Lucas.
Ooh, I forgot about that. That's really good, too.
I got Middle Child by J. Cole, and I have Catfish Billy 2 by Yellow Wolf. Shout out to my friend Roy. Such a good song.
Not a good song.
That song gets you hyped though. You're playing some beer pong. You're 8 or 9 games deep, and Catfish Billy gets on, and Leroy just gives you that look that he has. It can get you going.
Yeah, I bet.
All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and move into the. Or go ahead and run through your 5 real quick, just to recap, and then we'll get into
right.
the NBA offseason.
So I had Down Bad by J. Cole, JID, and Boz. I had Oh Wow Swerve by J. Cole. I had Lost Freestyle by Nas. I had Higher by DJ Khaled. By Nipsey Hussle and John Legend. Yeah. DJ Khaled just got him in the same room. And That's Life by 88 Keys and Mac Miller.
All right. I had Beer Never Broke My Heart, Luke Combs. ISIS, Joyner Lucas and Logic. Homicide, Logic and Eminem. Old Town Road, Lil Nas X and Billy Ray Cyrus. And then God's Country by Blake Shelton.
I feel like all of the songs that you listed are songs that describe perfectly the way Larry Bird looks. Like you're just building off of last week's. Which, if you haven't listened to, you might as well listen to. Larry Bird is in his top 10.
Larry Bird where that's at. In my top 3.
That's insane.
He's the man. All right. I'm going to go over a few of the big free agent signings. I kind of picked out 10 of the biggest ones, and then I added one on the back end just because it was the hometown signing. So Kawhi Leonard to the Los Angeles Clippers signed a 4-year deal worth $140.6 million.
Broke my heart.
Yeah. Austin was hoping he was going to the Lakers. Delusional. Kyrie Irving to the Brooklyn Nets, 4 years, $141 million. Kevin Durant also to the Brooklyn Nets, 4 years, $164 million. Klay Thompson re-signed with my Golden State Warriors for 5 years, $190 million. Kemba Walker to the Boston Celtics for 4 years, $141 million. Tobias Harris to the Philadelphia 76ers re-signed for 5 years, $180 million. Al Horford to the Sixers, 4 years, $109 million. Nikolai Vukovic to the Orlando Magic, 4 years, $100 million. Chris Middleton with the Bucks, 5 years, $178 million. And Kristaps Porzingis re-signed with the Mavericks for 5 years, $158 million. And then I just threw in Derrick Rose to the Pistons, 2 years, $15 million was the Pistons.
And did you? I might have missed it at the beginning. Did you mention Ben Simmons? He just recently re-signed the Super Max or something like that. 5 years, 170 million.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that one on my list. So yeah, and then Ben Simmons. Philly's out there just spending money.
Yeah. Well, Ben Simmons. I mean, you got to pay Ben Simmons. I think he's one of a kind, but got to work on that jump shot.
All right. Austin's going to hit you with a few of the big trades, and then we're going to get into our favorite signings. Go ahead.
So a lot of the ones that I did were sign-in trades because I didn't really notice a whole lot of like actual trades this offseason, maybe so far, but a lot of sign-in trades. Obviously, the big one is Paul George, biggest one I think. That was that a sign-in trade actually?
Paul George to the
Clippers.
No, he was already on contract, I think.
So
I think he just asked for a trade.
Well, either way, that was a huge trade for them. Malcolm Brogdon, that was a sign and trade from the Bucks. Let me see, I have it saved here. Another big one that I've got was that's the next picture here. Wait, where did it go? Oh, Jimmy Butler went to the Heat. Big trade there, sign and trade. They traded away quite a few picks to get him. He went on the 4-year, $141 million. D'Angelo Russell going to the Warriors. Sign and trade. That's going to give them. That was a very underrated move. I think people think that they're just going to trade him, halfway through the season, which they very well might. But even if they don't, they can play small ball with Steph, Clay when he comes back, and D'Angelo. but Kevon Looney at the 5, Draymond at the 4, that's still, one of the best starting 5s in the entire NBA. So I think that move right there is so slept on. And I know you're going to have them really high. Where do you have the Warriors landing, like in the playoffs, their seed?
I think their seed might be a little lower because Clay's not going to come back until probably maybe a month before the playoffs.
Yeah.
I could see them at a 4 or 5 seed, but I think that's not going to matter. I think they don't. As long as they get in, they're dangerous. If they keep D'Lo and then Clay comes back 100%, I think no matter what seed they're in, they're going to be my favorite to come out of the West. It's going to be tough. We'll see once it gets a little closer. We'll definitely talk about it, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then another one, a little bit less talked about, sign and trade was Terry Rozier went to the Hornets. Basically, him and Kemba Walker switched spots.
Yeah.
But they signed him to 3 years, $58 million. To me, that's kind of steep for Rozier. But
get into that.
It's kind of steep. That's kind of what I got for the sign and trades. The trades were kind of quiet this year, I think.
You forgot one big one that we'll get into later. Well, the Anthony Davis one, and then also Russell Westbrook to the Rockets.
Yeah, his was kind of late. I forgot about that. Anthony Davis, I was going to mention because I'm going to talk about that much about my winners and best moves and stuff.
Yeah,
it's going to get brought up, but that was a foregone conclusion, I think, at this point.
Too. All right, I'll get into my first favorite signing. I got J.J. Redick to the Pelicans.
Huge, big move, super big move.
$26.5 million. Redick's one of the best pure shooters in the league, and he joined a team that's just full of promising young athletes who can do almost everything except for shoot. A few of them can shoot okay, but Ball struggles to shoot, Zion struggles to shoot, Ingram's hit or miss. So I think having Redick's pure shooting will fill that hole, and he'll also be able to kind of work with the young bucks a little bit and get that shooting up.
And plus, knock on wood for Brandon Ingram, because even though he's not a Laker anymore, still like the young guy. Hopefully he comes back healthy. He had a problem with blood clots late last year, so he didn't play a lot of the season. So hopefully, knock on wood, he comes back healthy, comes back ready to play. But that's still something to think about too.
For sure. Yeah, I didn't follow the Lakers much because they were so irrelevant last year, but
I mean, they're winning the championship this year, so.
Yeah, I don't think so. All right, who's your first favorite signing?
First favorite signing, I think, is one that people are going to, they're probably expecting, but I think is so important for that team, is Klay Thompson re-signing with the Warriors. Because there was enough chatter there that, they're not going to re-sign him, they're not going to pay him with his injuries and this and that. But, we both knew he wasn't going to go anywhere. But I still think that's a pretty big move because without him, I don't know how good they would be. I mean, they would still have Steph, they'd still have Draymond, but how good would they be without Klay, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the trade for Russell would definitely fill some of the void. But to me, Klay and Steph are just a whole nother level. If they're both on, that team can't lose. Teams just can't keep up with their scoring ability. If both of them are in form, that's a 3-point bucket almost every possession, and they just teams can't hang. I like Russell
you can't go wrong
for his just pure scoring ability, but he's not on the level that Thompson is as far as just a scorer. I didn't put him on my list just because I was trying to think a little out of the box with mine, but definitely a great signing.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of mine are a little bit, I guess you could say, less common, but I think
my next important. Don't get me wrong, my next one's a big one too. But
I think an important thing too about the Warriors getting D'Angelo is people forget how good of a passer he is. Like if you look back at some of the highlights from Ohio State, he was throwing bounce pass curveballs. He's an exceptional passer, and that's going to be really good for Steph to play off ball.
Yeah, I'm going to hit on that a little later, but I agree. My second favorite signing, not necessarily second favorite, but my number 2 of my favorite signings is Kemba to the Celtics.
Yeah.
He signed a 4-year, $141 million deal. I think they pretty much knew they were going to lose Kyrie. So they went out and got a guy who I honestly think is a better fit. Kyrie's definitely the more explosive of the player, but I think Kemba is a better fit in what they're looking for, and that's to help their young stars flourish.
Yeah, I agree.
It's Jason Tatum's team, and I think Kemba is the type of point guard that can help him turn into that superstar that he has the potential to be. So I was a big fan of that signing.
Yeah, I agree because Kyrie's already a champion, so he's already has the mindset of like, give me the ball, let me handle everything.
Plus, he's a little crazy. He thinks the Earth
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong there, but
That's true. All right, what do you guys is your other favorite signing?
another favorite of mine is Al Horford to the Sixers because, kind of popular one, but I don't think for the reason that a lot of people think. Because with Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors winning the championship, the load management thing that every team is doing with their superstars and with their older players and stuff, that's just going to keep happening more and more and more because they saw Kawhi sit 20-something games last year, and then he was I forget the number for the regular season, like 97th in the NBA in minutes played during the regular season, but he was first in the postseason. So he sat those 20 games in the regular season, kept himself fresh or whatever, and then just went ham in the postseason. Teams are going to do that. And what's going to happen with the 76ers is Embiid, with his health and just being a massive human being, he's not going to be able to play all 82 games, even if he wanted to. So he's going to have to sit, and then they're going to have Horford there, who's just, a veteran, a leader, a guy who can play defense and still, give you, 16 points a game, 10 rebounds maybe?
Yeah.
So bringing him in and to help him, maybe get Simmons and get Embiid into the gym, start working on the jump shots, and for Embiid's sake, get in better shape. I think that's super important for that duo there.
Sure. And the other thing is who they took him away from. He was on the Celtics last year, who's probably their biggest rival in the East.
That's true.
So the fact that they, were able to snag him from the Celtics definitely was probably
weakened them for sure.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna get into our two least favorite signings now. My first least favorite is DeAndre Jordan to the Nets. 4 years, $40 million. I think the Nets already had a really promising young center in Jared Allen. And just over 26 minutes a game, he averaged 11 points, 9 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks last year, which is more than serviceable, for a big guy. And I think paying Jordan, who's, an aging player, not nearly as explosive as he used to be, which was his whole game, paying him $10 million a year, I don't know. I mean, it's not a ton of money in today's landscape, but it's still $10 million you could use somewhere else, and I think it's going to stifle. The Nets were a good team last year, because they had a good young core. They brought in Kyrie, they brought in KD. KD is obviously not going to play this year, but I think bringing in Kyrie and KD, they had enough around them. I think I would have liked to see a little more depth at other spots, and just let Jared Allen do his thing. It's not a terrible move, but I've never been a big DeAndre Jordan fan.
Well, the story behind that one is because I looked up a little bit on that was a move that I had as one of my least favorites as well. Yeah, I've got another one I can add in, but the story behind that, I guess, is Kevin Durant and Kyrie both took less than the max, so they could bring him in.
Yeah, I did see that too. So I mean, it's all they're all boys. I get it, but I went at it more of I'm not a big fan of his.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. That's why I threw him on the list. Who you got as one of your least favorites? You said you had Jordan as well.
Yeah, he was one, so I'm not going to count him. But he's one that I was super, super surprised about was Ricky Rubio to the Phoenix Suns. For 3 years, $51 million. Like, I get it. He's good. He looks pretty good in Utah, and he's always been like probably league average, maybe a little bit more than league average, I guess, throughout his career. But 3 years, $51 million. I don't see it for him because he's getting older now. He doesn't score very well, doesn't defend very well. He's more of just a playmaker, and he's just going to pass the ball to Devin Booker every single time, and DeAndre Ayton, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't see that really as a good move for that team, but I guess maybe that's why I'm not a GM.
I think he could be a good fit in terms of they have playmakers, and he could, do his role as far as just kind of running the offense. I think they definitely overpaid for him, but when you're a team like Phoenix, who's been so bad for so long, if you're going to get somebody, even of his not quite superstar, but maybe that next level down, just star, capabilities.
Yeah.
It's definitely something you're going to have to do, which is getting into my next signing, which is kind of a similar scenario with Terry Rozier to the Hornets.
They overpaid him a lot.
3 years, $58 million. And here's the thing. Kemba Walker said he was willing to stay and help grow the culture and the team, and then they lowballed him. And then they went out after he signed with Boston and overpaid Rozier. I don't know, if you're not trying to go cheap, go cheap. They're a team that's clearly trying to tank, and I don't understand paying Terry Rozier $20 million a year, when you're trying to tank. He's never shot. Go ahead.
Rozier is good, but I think he's cold. He had one good postseason. That's where that contract came from.
That's my opinion. That's what I was going to say. He's never shot over 40% from the field in a single season, and he's definitely had some effort issues. This contract's definitely just from that 2018 playoffs where he averaged 16 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds a game. I think that's, the Charlotte's hoping that that's the Rozier they're going to get over the length of the contract.
But that's basis. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't see it happening either, especially in Charlotte when he has, nothing around him.
Yeah.
All right, you have another one for us?
Yeah, another one that I think, it was a deal you had to do, I think, if you're this team, but I don't know if I would have done it. And that's the New York Knicks signing Julius Randle to 3 years, $63 million.
Ugh.
If you're the Knicks, you have to do that because you missed on Zion. You don't have anybody there. You missed on Kevin Durant. You missed on Kyrie. So you have to pay a guy like that who's not a bad player. He played really, really well last year when Anthony Davis really wasn't playing. But I don't know if he's a guy that can really lead the team. They have Dennis Smith Jr. there who's going to play the point.
Not in New York either.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't get it. He's not he can handle a little bit, but he's just going to be down in the post because he doesn't have a jump shot more than 20 feet. Yeah. He's going to be down in the post just banging, but he's only 6'10". So it's not like he's going to be, a 26 and 12 guy down there anyways. So it's, to me, way overpaid on a guy that's not even, I don't think, can be the focal point of your offense.
No, not at all. He's a good complementary piece, but you can't build your team around Julius Randle.
No.
If you're trying to win anything. All right.
I agree.
So those are our favorite and least favorite signings. We're going to get into our favorite trade. My favorite trade so far this offseason, we talked on a little bit earlier, is the Warriors acquiring D'Lo. I hated the fact that we had to lose Iggy, but that contract was just too high for the production he was giving. And I've been reading that, we're definitely between the Lakers and the Warriors if he gets bought out from Memphis, that he's going to re-sign with one of them. So if we can get Iggy back and we're getting D'Lo just for the picks, essentially, that's a steal to me.
Yeah, if he re-signed for a portion of the contract that he had, that's crazy.
Yeah. Russell keeps the Warriors competitive while Clay is recovering from his injury. And then when Thompson comes back, it gives them one of probably the most deadly trios in the league. And I think we kind of hit on it earlier. I think it's going to be really interesting. Clay is probably the best catch and shoot shooter in the league.
Maybe of all time, I think.
Yeah, Steph can do both. But I think it'd be really interesting to have him put the ball in D'Angelo's hands and let him do the driving kick and watch teams try to guard Russell on the drive while covering Clay and Steph on the three.
Yeah, can you just imagine a lineup of put D'Lo at the 1, at point guard, I guess. People listening don't really know basketball that much. Put D'Lo at point guard, put Steph at shooting guard, have him play off ball, Clay at small forward at the 3, and then 4 and 5, or power forward and center. You can just mix up between Draymond and Kevon Looney.
Yeah, just
like that. Yeah. There's going to be so much offense there.
Yeah, I don't know how it's possible for teams, because I mean you can double off a Looney maybe, but then you're leaving him open under the basket for easy dunks. You can double off Draymond, but he can definitely make you pay when he's on.
Yeah. But I don't get there's people, I don't know if you've seen them that much, but people are saying they're expecting the Warriors to not make the playoffs or be an 8 seed or be an easy out in the first round. I just don't see it because they still have Steph, they still have Draymond. Their pick and roll is deadly as it is, and Steph was literally the unanimous MVP. What was that? 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Yeah, there's zero chance they don't make the playoffs. Even
that man cannot be stopped.
Now that they have Russell, they're minimum a 6 seed. And that's it. They just rest Steph a bunch, rest Russell a lot. I honestly don't know how much they'll rest Russell because I think you kind of talked on it earlier too. I think they're going to end up moving Russell not this season, but next offseason. And I think they're going to go after Karl Anthony Towns.
So I also thought that, but I don't think they'll be able to do that. They're going to have to include Draymond, I think.
That's fine.
You do that? D'Angelo and Draymond for Karl Anthony Towns?
Steph, Clay, and Karl Anthony Towns on the same team?
I don't know, but if you're playing Madden, or not Madden, if you're playing 2K, yeah. But the longevity that Steph, Clay, and Draymond have together, that's the Warriors.
Yeah, I love those three. Don't get me wrong.
It's going to be, you can bring in a more talented player, but it's not necessarily going to make the team better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but at the same time, Draymond's been very hit or miss. Draymond, when he's in the mood to play basketball, is, the heart and soul of the team. And then other times, he might as well be the 10th man off the bench.
That's true.
So, I think if you can get a bona fide superstar, you go do it. Because Towns is a generational type center when he wants to be. And I think having...
But his problem is also effort.
Yeah. I think having Steph and Clay around him, though, his effort, because he's on Minnesota.
Yeah.
I think if he's on the Warriors, that effort's going to go up a little bit. All right, what's your favorite trade from the offseason?
Favorite trade
I wonder
is Anthony Davis to the Lakers, obviously.
Surprise, surprise.
So I'm going to throw a little bit of twist here. I don't know if we're doing best trade and worst trade or not, but...
Yeah, we are.
So... For me, that's the best trade, but it's also an honorable mention for worst trade. And I'll explain. To get Anthony Davis to the Lakers is where he wanted to be, so the expectation is he's going to re-sign long-term. But they traded 4 first-round draft picks is what it is going to turn out to be, because there's pick swaps there. And their last 3 draft picks from the first round, which is Ingram, Lonzo Ball, and Josh Hart. And then they also had to move 2 other players to make the contracts work to get Anthony Davis there. And then, they made extra room if they were going to be able to sign Kawhi. They weren't, but they had to move at least one of those guys to make Anthony Davis contracts work anyway. So they literally traded every young player and every asset for the next 4 years. The picks are gone from the first round until 2026 because of another trade that they made also. But so the best trade, you have LeBron, who knows when he's actually going to slow down. Got hurt a little bit last year, but the expectation for him is he's going to be back, same old LeBron, which is, 28, 7 and 7. And Anthony Davis, who to me is probably the 3rd or 4th best player in the NBA on the same team. So they're going to be a dominant force this year. But if he doesn't re-sign, then it's the worst trade because they got rid of every single option they had going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I have Davis at 3 for me, I think, right now of best players. I got Kawhi and KD in front of him. But,
yeah. So having him and Braun together, obviously that's a recipe for success. You expect to win right away. But he had an interview last week where he was like, "Oh, I'm just going to take it one season at a time. I'm not going to commit to anything right now. Blah blah blah. I want to play the season, see how it goes." So if he doesn't re-sign, what do the Lakers do then? They have a 36-year-old LeBron
and
and Danny Green.
We all know that LeBron's not the easiest player to play with either.
Yeah.
So honestly, I considered to put that as my least favorite, but I just couldn't because they got Anthony Davis.
I mean, you have to do the trade. You have to do anything.
But, I mean, they got, like you said, a top 5 player in the league, so I couldn't quite put it at my least favorite, but I definitely think they overpaid for him.
Yeah, I mean, me either. It's honorable mention for least favorite.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, if he doesn't re-sign, that's going to go down as maybe one of the worst trades. Like, if they don't win the championship and he doesn't re-sign, that might be the worst trade that I've ever heard of.
I don't know if I have them in my top 5 teams to win the ring this year. I know you do, but
that's absurd.
I think I like the Warriors over them. I like the Clippers over them. I like the Nuggets over them. I like maybe Boston, Philly. There's a lot of good teams out there. Yeah. Not quite Brooklyn this year because KD's not going to be back. But once KD comes back, Brooklyn's going to be dangerous. All right, my least favorite trade, and I kind of have a feeling it might be yours too, is the Rockets trading for Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
That, there was a lot of rumors that the Pistons were going to trade for him, and I was really hit or miss on it. Didn't like it because I don't think it would help him necessarily. I think it would take him from a maybe get to the second round team if they have a good run in them to probably make the second round. It'll take them from a 8 to 6 seed to a 6 to 5, 5 or 6 seed, I think.
Yeah, but that contract is killer.
Terrible. It essentially would have just been a trade to make them more entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
And boost attendance, which I couldn't hate them for because they're not going to win in this NBA, so why not just go get another superstar, pair him with Blake, and just let him play. So I guess that's what the Rockets are doing too. But they lost CP3 in his contract, which isn't a bad thing. But they also lost 3 future firsts, plus they swapped a pick going into this next year. And Harden and Westbrook, to me, is going to be like that episode on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will's just balling out, kissing the cheerleaders, and then at the end, Carlton, they have to score a basket to win the game, and Carlton steals the ball from Will and airballs trying to get all the glory. To me, it's going to be a mess.
Who plays off ball in that backcourt?
It's got to be Harden, right? Because at least Harden can catch and shoot a little bit.
But he's going to
hate it, right? Harden's one of the biggest ball hogs in the league. So
they're 1 and 2
in most shots.
And I forget what they call the stat, but basically with the ball in your hand.
Yeah, time with the ball.
High usage.
Yeah. Russ, you think Russ is going to kick it to Harden enough to keep him happy?
No.
It's going to be a mess.
And that contract too, because Russell Westbrook's entire career he's never been that good of a shooter. He's been good enough to carry his team to the playoffs, but his free throw shooting has gone down, field goal percentage has gone down, 3-point has tanked.
Yeah.
So his entire career, the past 6 seasons maybe, has been entirely predicated on his athleticism, which at some point is going to stop, or he's going to blow an ACL or blow an ankle or blow a knee or something because he's just so explosive. So then they're going to be paying a guy $45 million to, be like Derrick Rose.
Yeah. All right. Was that your least favorite trade, or you have something else?
So that was one. Another one. I saw Max Kellerman say, and at first thought he was crazy, but then I thought about it a little bit more, and did a little bit of research, and I kind of agree with him. It's going to be tied with what you said, but Kevin Durant trade to the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay.
I think, because they gave him basically a max deal. Kevin Durant is 31, and he just tore his Achilles and had the calf. People say that he had the calf tear or whatever, and the Achilles. I think it was just Achilles from the start. Either way. But players don't come back from that. Kobe tried, wasn't ever the same. He had a couple of good games here and there, but wasn't ever the same. And Dominique Wilkins, they say, came back, but many people, even players that played with him, said that he wasn't the same either. Like, he came back and he was good. He made a couple All-Star teams, but he wasn't Dominique. I don't think he's going to be Kevin Durant.
Yeah, the only thing that might save him is both those examples, Kobe and Dominique. They made their game off of their explosiveness. Kobe could shoot, don't get me wrong, but Kobe was Kobe because he could blow by people, and he could drive the lane, he could do all that. KD does that as well, but KD is also probably top 5 best shooter of all time, top 10 maybe. So I don't think he'll be as dynamic, but he'll still be able to shoot. So
do you think he's going to come back and be a 28 or 29 point per game scorer like he was every other year of his career? Plus an elite defender?
Probably not. I'm not arguing with you there. I just think that this injury won't necessarily hurt him the same way that it hurt Kobe and it hurt Dominique, because he's just his game's a little different.
Yeah, and he's much more slim. Like, he's very slender.
Yeah.
But the other thing that because I thought that as well. I was like, oh, that's going to save him because he's so skinny that he's not going to have a whole lot of weight, won't re-injure. But then looked up some of the players that have torn Achilles and have come back and had like decent careers. They were able to go down in the post where they're not jumping a whole lot. They're just banging bodies. And he can do that, but that's going to be when he's fading away, shooting a jump shot over people. And if he's not going to be able to have so much leg strength to do that, he can't get down there and bang with those guys.
Yeah. Side note, Austin and I play fantasy football together too. Austin, you know that running back that you have on your dynasty team, Donta Foreman, that you think is going to be so good?
Yep. Trade. I definitely need a first-round pick for him.
You know an injury that he's recovering from?
I think like a twisted ankle or something.
A torn Achilles, and he plays football.
Right.
So, just saying. All right.
He's only 23.
Yeah. So, I decided to go with free agent loser first because we like to end on a high note here on the Ballers and Bars podcast. Our last thing we talked about last week was Larry freaking Bird. So, my free agent loser is the Charlotte Hornets.
That's a surprise.
They lost Kimba. They lost Jeremy Lamb. They lost Frank Kaminsky. And Tony Parker retired. The only thing they really added was Terry Rozier. Not signing Kimba would definitely indicate that they're trying to tank, to trust the process. But then they went out and gave Terry $20 million a year. So I think that they're going to be atrocious for the next few years, which might be their goal. But, yeah, I think they definitely had the worst offseason of anybody.
So, good idea. But I've got a 3-way tie for worst, with one that's going to be a little bit higher than the other. So for like the 2 that I have tied is going to be the Lakers as off-season loser, just based on the future, because of the Anthony Davis trade. There's still so many questions about that. I get you have to make the trade to get him, but if he doesn't re-sign, you literally just traded the whole team for one season. Yeah. And OKC, because they lost Paul George, they lost Russell Westbrook, which might be a good thing, but now they're in full rebuild mode, and they have Chris Paul's contract still, which is worse than Russell Westbrook's.
Yeah.
And they have Steven Adams, but he's not going to he's not going to be like a star on the team.
Yeah. Well,
so I think
before you move on to your third team, do you think Oklahoma City will go down as one of the most disappointing runs a team's ever had, as far as having Harden, Westbrook, and Durant all at one point and not turning it into a single championship?
I think so. And they also had Serge Ibaka there too.
Yeah.
I think so.
really play.
Yeah. I mean, they were all so young, but still, like, Kevin Durant was MVP at that point. I think he won his MVP with OKC, if I remember correct.
Yeah, he did.
Russell Westbrook wasn't bad, but James Harden, he hadn't grown into the player he was. Maybe he would never have if he stayed with OKC. But
He didn't yet, I don't think.
they lost him over $4 million.
Yeah.
That's what the owner would have had to pay in the luxury tax.
Yeah.
So that's I think another one is when the Bucks, or not the Bucks, I'm sorry, the Nets traded for Kevin Durant and Paul Pierce, or not Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce.
Paul Pierce, yeah, that was atrocious.
Yeah, they traded everything for those two guys, and then they were still just garbage.
Yeah. All right, you have one other loser, you said?
One other one, which I think people are going to disagree, all the listeners that we've got, 109 of them or whatever it was on YouTube, and almost 100 likes on Facebook. We gotta pump those numbers up. We're getting there. But a team that I think is going to really suffer is going to be the Bucks. You know, they lost Malcolm Brogdon, who didn't play a whole lot in the offseason because he was injured. But, you know, he's a 50, 40, 90 guy who you can really count on to get a bucket, to make the right pass, to have late in the game to shoot free throws, to get the ball in his hands and out of Giannis's, who's getting better, but is still not a good free throw shooter. And they lost Mirotic. He went to Europe for some crazy reason.
Yeah.
And who was really important to them too. You know, he is a guy who can make shots, and he went off for a game last year where he scored nearly 40 points in a single game, a game that Giannis struggled in. So another guy, you know, you're just missing some offense from, who can fill in a spot when Giannis has to go to a bench, because, you know, played almost the same position. I don't know what position you put Giannis at, but Mirotic is, you know, 6'10", a guy that can shoot, a guy that can pass, a guy that can play pretty decent defense. So losing both of them, I think, hurts them. They're still going to be a top three probably in the East, I think.
This year, probably with the Nets not really being there yet with KD.
Yeah. So I think they have to make some moves, maybe fill in the point guard spot. I think they still have Eric Bledsoe, right?
I believe so. I think, yeah. They re-signed him. He has a couple years left.
But Brogdon was a young guy who played defense, 50, 40, 90 guy who you can really count to score and make the right play at the point guard position. They're going to really miss him, I think.
Yeah. All right, my free agent winner is the or not necessarily free agent, I'm sorry, my just off-season winner is the New Orleans Pelicans. They lost Anthony Davis. That's a big hit. They lost Solomon Hill, lost Elfrid Payton, lost Julius Randle, lost Stanley Johnson. But they gained Lonzo Ball. They gained Brandon Ingram, J.J. Redick, Derek Favors, Josh Hart, plus those 3 first-round picks. We haven't really hit on the draft much, but they did draft Zion, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but if he's what everybody says he is, you know, that's a great ad. They added Hayes, the big center, and they
also got DeAndre Hunter from the draft too.
Yeah, and then Alexander Walker as well. So
yeah, they had a really good draft.
Yeah, so I think the Pelicans, I don't think they're going to make any noise this year unless Zion comes out and is that rookie LeBron, right? And just as a dominant force, then I think they could be a sleeper team. But I think if they can mold together, they can be a dangerous team for the next few years. Plus having all that draft capital. Yeah, I think the Pelicans hit a slam dunk. They knew they were losing Anthony Davis. He wasn't going to re-sign there.
Yeah.
So it was a no, you know, it's not like they could have kept him. So they were smart. They didn't do what Charlotte did, where Charlotte knew they probably weren't going to keep Kemba, and they could have traded him to get something. You know, they got rid of him. They got about as big of a haul as you could ask for, and then they went out and turned it into, you know, good picks. They brought in Derek Favors. They brought in J.J. Redick. So I just think the Pelicans had a slam dunk offseason.
And I think they're a playoff team.
Yeah, I could see them sneaking in bottom half. I
think they're a 7 or 8 seed.
The West is good. I mean, you got both LA teams, the Warriors, the Nuggets, the Jazz, Portland. So that's 6 right there. But I could definitely see the Pelicans getting a 7 or an 8. The Spurs are always right there, right? You can never count the Spurs out.
Yeah, I think not Utah. I think the Pelicans are a playoff team.
Yeah. Mavericks will be interesting too.
If
Kristaps.
Porzingis comes back,
Yeah. Kristaps and Luka. That could be an interesting
they're going to
combo.
be a playoff team in the future. I don't see it this year, though.
Yeah. All right. Who do you have as your offseason winner?
Um, so I was going to go with the Lakers because they got Anthony Davis and a couple other really good signings. DeMarcus Cousins on a 1-year, $2 million contract,
Yeah.
and he's come out, looked a lot skinnier, much better in shape, and he said he's fully healed from his injuries. So if he can come back and play 80% of what he was in New Orleans and Sacramento, that's a steal. Danny Green's, I think they had a good offseason. I'm going to go with the Utah Jazz.
Yeah. Utah.
They were able to get Mike Conley, who's on a pretty big contract, but they needed a point guard. They lost Ricky Rubio.
Yeah.
So I think they upgraded point guard. They got, I can't say this guy's name, Bojan Bogdanovic from Indiana.
Yeah.
A guy who's a really great shooter. He's a big guy. He's not like a small point guard type guy. He's a big body guy. Ed Davis, who's an underrated signing. They signed him pretty cheaply. He's going to be able to play center when Gobert's out. He has to sit or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think Utah is going to be. They're going to be, and Donovan Mitchell, who's going into his third or fourth season now. He's going to be, up there. He's going to be all-star. He might be in the conversation for MVP this year if Conley can get on the ball and he's going to up his assists and everything.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's always a sore spot for us Pistons fans. They took Luke Kennard right before him. And I'm a fan of Kennard. I think Kennard's going to be a solid player in the league. But when you could have a guy like Donovan Mitchell, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, the Pistons have drafted like so weird ever since like 2003. Like they've had some good drafts.
Yeah, Drummond was a good pick.
2003 was just they blew it big time.
Oh yeah, I'm real curious. A lot of experts really like the pick they made this year.
Yeah, how do you pronounce that guy's name?
Like Siaku Demboyu or something like that. I don't know enough about him to kind of make a judgment, but a lot of people that I, doing research have said he's kind of in that vein of not quite a Giannis, but that type of Giannis or a old boy from Toronto, Pascal Siakam.
Yeah, Siakam.
Siakam. So, I don't know, but yeah, I like the Jazz a lot. I like the Jazz and the Nuggets as two sleeper teams out of the West.
Yeah, well, the Nuggets are going to be good. I didn't think they made any very big moves this offseason, but what they did do is they're bringing back Michael Porter Jr. Not bringing him back, but he's going to be able to play this year, they said, hopefully.
Yeah.
So he could be really good, I think.
Before we wrap, we're just over the hour mark. We're going to keep it a little tighter than last week. As you were talking, I just thought of something. Can you think of a player who has fallen from grace at a worse time more than DeMarcus Cousins? With the contracts that these guys are making in the NBA and how darn good DeMarcus Cousins was on the Kings, the fact the last 2 years he signed a contract. What was his contract last year? Like $6 million?
Yeah,
this year he signed $2 million.
Mid-level exception.
Yeah. Went from being a guy who should be making $25 million a year to, to barely making anything.
I can think of one.
Who's that?
Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah. I don't think Isaiah Thomas had the longevity that Cousins did, though. And obviously, for those who might not know, we're talking about the new Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, new Isaiah Thomas.
But
he was in line to sign before he got hurt. He was in line to sign a $200 million supermax extension.
For sure. He definitely lost out. But how many years was he like a relevant star? I feel like he only crashed for like a year or two, didn't he?
Yeah, but he's been. I'm gonna pull up his stats real quick because he's been good for like quite some time.
Yeah.
But he's always just been under the radar because he's so small. It says here he's 5'9".
Yeah.
So when you have a guy like that, you're not going to be able to sign very many, huge contracts or anything like that. But, a guy, career, let's get it here. Oh, darn broken iPhones don't like to work, I guess.
All right, so I have it here.
Okay.
2013, 20 points a game. 14, 15 points a game. 2014, 19 points. So from 2013 to 2016 was his big year, where he jumped up to 28 points a game.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's 3 straight years of.
Yeah. So that's definitely a good shout. But DeMarcus Cousins, some people thought DeMarcus Cousins was the best big man in the league when he was in Sacramento. He was just on such a terrible team. And then
he probably was at that point.
Yeah, Boogie was a problem when he was in Sacramento. But yeah, I was just thinking about that when you said how little he signed for with the Lakers. Just
$2 million.
That's what, like last year, like nobody wants him. He's just between his injuries and his attitude.
Yeah, but I think now he's kind of gotten his edge off a little bit, where he's like, I'm in the later stages of my career.
Yeah,
I still don't think he's that old.
They said the Warriors kind of helped his attitude a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when you're playing with champions like that for a whole season.
And that's where I was going to bring that up earlier with the Karl Anthony Towns. That's where I think he would be a good fit on the Warriors. Steve Kerr doesn't tolerate that.
Yeah.
That lack of effort. But anyways, we're getting to that minute 6 mark. We want to keep it, right around an hour, just a little bit over for you guys. So we're going to wrap up. You got any last thoughts before I close us out?
One last thing. You spoke about Giannis, and did I? He's top 5 player in the NBA. Probably, I think. Lakers just signed his younger brother to a 2-year contract.
I did see that.
Who knows how good he's actually going to be? I haven't heard much about him at all, really. But if he's, 60%, 70% of what Giannis is, I'll take it.
Yeah, I did see that.
If he can give us some minutes that plays even sort of the same way that Giannis does, I'll take it.
Yeah, Rob from our Dynasty League, the LeBron lover. I saw he shared that on Facebook just before we hopped on. Costas always turns good on 2K. Bill likes to grab him on 2K and send him down to the G League, turn him into a stud. All right, y'all.
That's fine with me. I'll take it.
Yeah. All right, y'all. I appreciate it. We're going to try to get this one. This one will for sure be on YouTube. Hopefully tomorrow, Monday, the 22nd, if not by Tuesday. Like I said, we're working on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, I should say, and SoundCloud. Those you got to kind of go through a process. They have to make sure that you're not using a bunch of copywritten material and everything like that. So it takes a little longer, but we'll get those up as soon as we can. Give us a follow on Facebook at Balls and Bars Podcast, and give us a follow on Twitter at Balls and Bars Pod, as well as YouTube at Balls and Bars Podcast. Hit the like and subscribe button so you can stay in touch. Real quick too, I just wanted to give Kimberly Mahaffey. I apologize if I said your last name wrong, Kim. I went to college with Kim, and she's the one who designed our logo for us. It looks real sharp. I just kind of threw a message on Facebook asking if anybody had any skills with that, and she whipped that up for me for, just out of the kindness of her heart. So I want to give Kim a shout out for that. But
and before you close it out, just want to give one brief message here. We're both always on our phones pretty much. So if you have any questions, any recommendations, anything like that, send it on the Facebook, send it on the Twitter.
Yeah,
we'll respond to it. Comment on Facebook. We'll respond to it. We'll bring it up next week.
Yeah, we don't have a subject for next week yet. So I was thinking about maybe throwing a poll up on Facebook with a couple options, what people might want to hear about. I was thinking maybe we can get in some NFL next week. Mini camps are starting up. But yeah, for sure. Twitter, I haven't been super active on the Twitter account yet, but if we can get a few more followers, I'll definitely get on there as well. I've been mainly just using it as a method to get some show promotion out. But yeah, leave a comment. We go on live on Facebook all the time. Hop on there, let us know kind of what you liked, what you didn't like, what you might want to hear in the future. All right, y'all. This has been our episode 2, kind of giving our top 5 songs of 2019, our favorite songs, as well as talking a little NBA offseason. We'll catch you next week. Have a good night.
See ya.
Big rappers have a platform, but they do not use the voices. I'm not a big rapper because I'm 5'9" like voices. Hoisting the flag on my camp, I know I'm not a perfect man because I've been sinning. And I'm feeling like I'm paid out in a pool of liquor swimming. I'm beginning to get the feeling I'm gonna be great. But what I'm dealing with is